In this video, we're going to take a small departure from e-discovery, which is what we normally talk about, and we're going to talk about how to be successful at work. Kind of some general tips that helped me in the past, and also I've observed other people and some of the mistakes they make, so I want to kind of include them here and talk about, like I said, general tips about how to be successful. Before we start, quick disclaimer. What I talk about today is what helped me, and these are my opinions. So please don't get fired from your job just because you listen to some goofy guy on YouTube. The next thing I want to mention is we're going to break this video into two parts. What we're going to be talking about today is tips for beginners. If you just graduated college, you started working somewhere, and this is your first job. You know, it's like you basically have no experience, you're just starting out. And then the next video we're going to do when we talk about tips for when you're already experienced and you're coming into a certain position, when you bring in a lot of value, you're already like known in the industry, something like that. But this one, if you're an absolute beginner, you're just starting out, here are the things you should do. So here's the mentality you should take when you start in a new job. When you just started, you have no experience, what should you be thinking about? And your first goal should be taking care of your boss. You want to make sure your immediate boss is happy. Now, it is going to be different from what we're going to be talking about in part two, and I'll explain in the other video. But for the beginner, you focus on your boss. So what do I mean when I say focus on your boss? Well, don't worry about bigger picture, don't worry about projects, don't worry about anything else. Think of what does your boss need immediately. So for example, status update. Your boss may want to know what is the status of your project. You need to make sure that you know that status when he's going to ask for it. And ideally, you will update your boss even before they're going to ask for status. So you're going to learn your boss's patterns. When do they want to know the status? Maybe every time they come back from lunch, they want to know what's going on with certain things. So you need to learn those patterns, your boss's habits, and basically be one step ahead. So like status updates and things like that. You want to make sure you're ready and you're able to provide even before they ask for it. One of the good ways of staying ahead of things that are going to be asked is paying attention to like a general email groups. Maybe you have a support email group or something like that, or you have people that are talking, their meetings, right? Listen and read those emails and see what's going on. See the emails that are coming from a client. See if there is a client maybe asking a question or somebody's having a problem somewhere. And if you think you can help, well, you can go ahead and like Google for an answer or research something. Be prepared. So if someone comes over to you and says, hey, do you think you could? And you're like, oh yeah, I actually looked that up. Here's what we can do, or here's how we can solve that problem. So try to be like that step ahead of anything, just like you would be with status reporting. All right, now here's the simplest tip that's gonna separate you from 90% of other people. Just by doing this one trick, you could be your boss's favorite employee. No, seriously. Okay, so let's say there is a conversation going on about a project or a task that needs to be done. Maybe you're in a meeting and something has been either assigned to you or asked of you. What you do is you comprehend, right, what needs to be done, and then you respond. You say, okay, I hear you, I have to do this. I will give you an update at 2 p.m. today. So what you do is you acknowledge that you accept whatever project or request, and you tell them the deadline when you're going to respond with your update. Now here's what you do next. When that 2 p.m. hits, you provide an update. Now I know it seems obvious, but there's so many people I worked with who promised saying, I will update you at this time, and they never do. It is absolutely insane how irresponsible people are. If you just do this one thing, if you say, I will tell you at 2 p.m. what the status is, get back to that person at 2 p.m., not a second later, exactly 2 p.m. or earlier. If you do just that one thing, your boss is going to appreciate it more than you can imagine. And if there is nothing to update or the status hasn't changed, you just say, I'm still working on it. There is no update. I will let you know at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. And then you commit to the next time when you're going to send an update. And when that time comes, you do not miss that update, not by a single minute. You update it then or a couple of minutes before. It may seem like a silly thing, but it absolutely not. It is a huge deal. And so one interesting thing that happened to me that relates to timely updates was very interesting. So I was flying from one city to another, and our plane got pushed back from the gate, but then the other city said that they have bad weather, so we can't take off. And we were basically sitting in the plane. And what the pilot did is he said, okay, we apologize for delay. We're waiting for the weather to clear. We're not allowed to take off. I will give you update in 20 minutes. And in 20 minutes exactly, on the minute, there is another update. We apologize, still bad weather. I'll give you update in 30 minutes. What happens in 30 minutes? Exactly 30 minutes, another update goes on. And it's like the pilot just set up a timer, and when the timer rings, gets on the announcement and announces to everybody exactly on the time he said he was going to do it. And we were sitting there probably 3 hours or more. We couldn't, take off. But having pilot tell us when they're going to give us an update and give that update made it so much better. And that's exactly how your boss is going to feel. Even if you give him an update saying that status of a project hasn't changed, I'm still working on it, or maybe you give him some percentage, is going to make a huge difference. If you take anything away from this video, it's this one thing. Please do that. All right, so I want to share one more story with you. One of the places that I worked at, my boss liked to print out his to-do list from Word in big font on a piece of paper, right? So my boss was using a computer, he was tech savvy and everything, but just one of the things he liked to do is keep his to-do list in Word, right? And every day he would update it, print it out, and put it on his desk, right? So it's like always there, it's a reminder of what he has to do today or this week. And as he would work, he occasionally would like glance at it and know, okay, here are my tasks, my more immediate tasks, or this week tasks. And I think it's actually a pretty good idea to do even now with all the digital devices. But my boss used to do it, then I don't see many people do it. So we had this piece of paper with a to-do list in a large font on my boss's desk. And so when I noticed that my boss is doing that, whenever I would be in his office, I would occasionally glance at that list. Now, was it like ethical or wrong to look at stuff on somebody's desk? I would say probably not, because it was in a giant font and he had it on his desk and he would invite me to come into his office. So I wasn't like breaking in or anything like that. But whenever I was at his office and we were talking about something, I would glance at it and I would see what he's working on, what his priorities are, where the company is going, kind of thing. And by reading that list allowed me to anticipate his next step, his next move, what he was going to ask me, what things he wanted to do. Maybe he wanted to change something on the network, or do something, with scanning or printing departments we had. I already knew what he was going to ask, so I could be prepared for that question, or maybe I could prepare some equipment, or I could research. And this way, when it came time for him to ask me something, I already knew I could give him a more definite answer than if I didn't know what the question was going to be. So this is what I mean when I say focus on your boss, right? Think about what they need to do, what their goals are, how they work when they ask for updates, and focus just on that. Make sure they're happy, make sure they have information they need, make sure you're communicating with them clearly and on time. Do whatever you need to do to make sure your boss is happy. So I think that's how I would summarize my tips for a beginner who is just starting out. If you have any, put them in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you on part 2 when we talk about more senior people who are starting their job. See you next time.